Laurel.
Laurel or Yanni?
How many of you heard Laurel?
Yanni.
Laurel or Yanni?
Who's Yanni?
The Laurel versus Yanni phenomenon.
Is it Yanni or Laurel?
That is 100% Yanni.
I thought I heard donut.
People these days, I don't know.
Laurel versus Yanni. This confusion, this illusion has been sweeping both the nation and world alike for days. I'm assuming if you clicked on this video, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, let's break it down. I think the best way to explain the Laurel versus Yanni debacle of 2018 is to take a little time travel back to 2015. Back when the "what color is the dress" spectacle was captivating the entire world. Now for those of you who don't remember that, you were probably living underneath a rock. But just to refresh you, the problem was there was a picture of a dress. It was the same picture, everyone was looking at the same picture, but some people saw it to be black and blue, while others saw it to be white and gold. The same picture, but people were seeing two completely different results. This is the audio version. We're hearing the same audio clip over and over and over again, but people are receiving two completely different results. But why? I could not rest. How could this be possible? I was losing sleep over this. I could not rest. So I did a deep dive. I researched this to the T. I put my all into this, my blood, my sweat, my tears. I did the research so you didn't have to. I went to depths that you guys cannot imagine. The things I did to research this debacle, I may have done some things I regret, but I have found some answers. These are their stories. Okay, so before I give you the answers I found, it's important to go through the factors that could be causing this confusion. The first one is the quality of the sound clip we are hearing. In other words, it is a very compressed sound clip. There's lots of different audio qualities you could have out there, but when a clip is being re-recorded and spread around, its quality is going to be really muddy. Therefore, the wavelength that you're seeing is not going to be as defined and have as many details as the original recording would. I'll liken it to resolution visually. If you record a 4K clip on your iPhone, right? You're going to upload it to YouTube. That big 4K clip, if you upload it in 1080p on YouTube, is going to get downsized to 1/4 of its size into 1080p. Then you're going to have someone screen record it on their iPhone 5S. Bam! That just got dropped down to an even smaller resolution. Then someone's going to get sent to their iPhone 10, bigger resolution, screen record again, smaller resolution, and after all these compressions and all these different resolution changes, the video is going to look disgusting. You're going to see all this noise, this artifacting. It's going to look awful. Now, think about that when it comes to audio. If you had a picture of a square or a video of a square and it kept on getting compressed and down-resed over and over and over and over again, and you did the same thing to a video of a triangle, when you get to the end of it and you have this 2020p, 240p jumbled up mess of what used to be a beautiful square or a triangle, guess what? It's gonna be kind of hard to tell the difference because the quality has been down-resed so much. In fact, one of my famous friends, Charlie Puth, actually talked about this on his Instagram story.
Has to do with is the audio file. The audio file itself is a very, very low quality audio file. It has all and everything to do with how the audio file is compressed.
I mean, since me and Charlie Puth are like equally famous, it's not surprising that me and him were thinking along the same wavelength when it comes to, the compression. Pun intended. He also believes that the compression and lack of quality in this clip is what contributes to it being so hard to discern. I guess that all sounds well and good, but when you think about it, it doesn't really make that much sense still, because even if the audio clip is muddy and hard to understand, people aren't confused. To go with the analogy, they're not looking at the video saying, is that a square or is that a triangle? No, they're seeing one of them. Just like with Laurel and Yanni, they're hearing one of those distinctly. There's no confusion. People are certain of what they're hearing. That's what made this whole thing popular. So while I do think compression played a factor, like I said before, a factor, I do not think it is the main cause. I think the main cause is something deeper, something much more sinister. So like I was saying, there is no confusion. People are hearing one word or the other. It is very distinct, which seems impossible because these words seem so different in their makeup. But here's the other factor. You might think these words are very different, but they're in fact very similar. I'm gonna make another analogy here. You guys ever heard of a palindrome? Throwback to your vocabulary in elementary school, but a palindrome is actually a word that when spelt out and reversed, it still says the same word. For example, kayak, race car, take race car, R-A-C-E-C-A-R. You reverse it, R-A-C-E-C-A-R. Laurel and Yanni are not palindromes when you spell them out, but if you listen to them in reverse, the sound of the word, the beginning is almost the exact same as the end. And in fact, if you reverse the sound clip of Laurel, it still sounds almost exactly like Laurel.
Laurel. Laurel.
Same thing goes for Yanni. Think about it how it sounds. Yanni, spelled backwards, ends in a Y, starts with a Y, has ends in the middle, and an A on each side. They are palindromes by sound, and this can contribute to the confusion alongside with the compression that we were previously talking about for your brain to confuse the sounds of both of them because they have similar sounds, to be frank. So I dug a little deeper, and I don't want to say I was disappointed by what I found, and I don't want this to seem like a cop-out, but the real answer to your question is whether you are hearing Laurel or Yanni. The answer is you're hearing both. And if we're gonna get all sciencey for a second, if I'm gonna become Bill Nye the Science Guy or Adam Savage from Mythbusters, I'm gonna let you know this. This has to do entirely with pitch. Now some of you guys might know music, some of you might not, but pitch has to do with basically the lowness of the sound and the highness of the sound on a scale. We refer to that as the treble and the bass. So when you break down the sound signatures, Yanni is actually way on the lower end. It has a lot of bass. Meanwhile, Laurel has a lot of high-pitched noises. It has more treble. I know, it's really that simple. It's just the lower end is Yanni and the higher end is Laurel. But I want to prove that to you. Like I said, because these sound signatures are so similar, that's why our brain can confuse them. But what if we use a little bit of editing to make them a little less similar? What if we slowed down the clip and made it sound deeper? So I'm gonna play a slowed down audio clip of the famous clip.
Yanni. Yanni.
Now if that worked, you probably just heard Yanni, maybe for the first time. Now if we take the same exact clip and speed it up a little bit, hopefully you're gonna hear Laurel.
Laurel. Laurel.
Now here's the thing, I already know there's gonna be tons of you guys commenting below saying it didn't work for you. That's because this is a scientific experiment. There are variables that I don't know if you're controlling correctly. There actually is one variable that you can't control at all, and that is your age. We all know a dog whistle, right? When you blow a dog whistle, only dogs can hear it. This is because the pitch is so high that the human ear cannot detect it. Now here's the thing. As a human being, a Homo sapien ages, our hearing does get a little worse. Your hearing could be fantastic, you could pass all the tests, but as you get older, your ear cannot hear some of the higher pitches that a younger child can. And it's very minimal as you age. But this can play a factor when these two sound bites, or really the same sound bite, are so similar that little bit of die-off in how you hear things can affect this. So if you're older, maybe older than 30, you're more likely to hear Yanni because that's on the lower end of the spectrum. In the same sense, if you're younger than 25, it is almost certain that you're going to be hearing Laurel instead of Yanni. This is because your ear is much more in tune to that higher end of the frequency, so your brain is digesting it and absorbing it and receiving it as Laurel because it hears more of that high end. When you're older, you hear a lot more of that lower end. All right, so I've been over some of the factors. You can't control how compressed this audio clip already is. We can't make it more detailed, it's very compressed. You can't control your age. You can't control if you've had hearing loss from concerts. You can't control if you can still hear those pitches because you're 62 years old or you're 8. It's not your fault. But just like I learned in Mythbusters from a young age as a ripe middle schooler, there are variables you can control and therefore eliminate them from the equation. It's science. Okay, so the first variable you can't control is what you are listening on. Since this clip went viral on mobile sites such as Twitter and Instagram, you know, things the kids use, you're most likely gonna be listening to these clips on your cellular device. Now, Cell phones have advanced in technology greatly over the past few years, and the speakers have become quite phenomenal for being in such a small form factor. However, they still don't have that deep, bassy feel that big studio monitors or an actual set of speakers can have. This means when you're listening on your phone, you're going to hear a lot more of the high end of that audio clip, which means if you're listening on your phone, which is where this went viral, you're most likely going to hear Laurel, especially since people who are on Twitter and Instagram are mostly young people. But if you were to take your phone and plug in headphones, or in Apple's case, wireless headphones, do they still have a headphone jack? I'm not sure. That way, you can hear that deep bassy feel. You might even not be able to hear it with Apple's stock headphones because those don't have that much bass. But if you were to put big, fat headphones right in your ears with that deep bass, you're probably gonna hear Yanni. Because once again, Yanni is on the lower end of the spectrum. It's the same audio wavelength. It just depends on whether you're hearing the top end or the bottom end when you listen to it. Another factor which kind of relates to what are you listening on is how close is it to your ear receptacles that are receiving the audio wave formats through the air. So therefore, if you're closer, you're gonna hear more of that detail. You're probably gonna hear Laurel. But if you move it away and those sound waves are taking longer to get to you, it's a little bit more bassy, a little bit more feel, just because it's farther away, just a little bit, you're probably gonna hear Yanni. Now, like I said, there are factors that you cannot change when it comes to this. You could change the variables or control the variables that I'm telling you to, and you might ever only hear one of the Laurels or Yannis. But all my nights of research, all 2 of my nights of research, my 2 sleepless nights, my shower thoughts, this has controlled my life for the past 48 hours. I needed to figure it out. And that answer of both, it just left me empty. So I had to find out, what was the original clip saying? What was the intention? So I looked, and I persisted, and I persevered through everything, through the thick and the thin, through the people trying to stop me, for the people saying this was taking over my life, from the naysayers. I stayed focused on the path at hand. I needed to find out. Nothing would get in my way. I think I got it though. I think I have the answer. After deliberating back and forth, Yanni, Laurel, Yanni, I have the solution. I found the source. This is my life's work. This is my swan song. This is my everything. And it's over. I finally figured it out. Was it Laurel? Was it Yanni? I finally figured it out. I found the source, and when listening to it, the original person who spoke it, they told me that the final word was... Hold on 1 second.
Hold your investigation immediately.
Nah, I'm just kidding, it's Laurel.